Did you know these facts? Abraham Lincoln and 4 other Illinois legislators once jumped out of a window to avoid a vote that would have shut down the Illinois State Bank in 1840, with reports suggesting it wasn't his first time using this tactic to block a vote. Key West declared independence from the United States in 1982, declared war, and then immediately surrendered to apply for foreign aid due to frustration over the lack of response from the US government to complaints about a roadblock. Lincoln Park initially wanted to be called Lincoln Park, but changed the spelling to acquire LincolnPark.com. 12 people walked on the moon, but only 9 people have blocked a dunk from LeBron James. A new study showed that hiding dislikes helped women creators see a 57% decrease in negative feedback and a 15% increase in content demand, leading to women creators producing 8% more content, which also could mean an extra $3,100 monthly for those women creators. The 1988 $1 million McDonald's record winner, who was 13 at the time, had his mom claim the prize, squandered a good portion of it, had her boyfriend steal the rest, lost his mom a decade later, stopped talking to his sister, and now works as a tree trimmer. A couple walked from opposite ends of the Great Wall of China and met in the middle. Then they broke up. A corpse found in Denmark in 1950 was so well preserved that it looked like a recent murder, but it turned out to be 2,400 years old. Until earlier this year, it was legal for apartments in Austin, Texas to have no windows, and landlords often didn't disclose this in the advertisements. The microwave safe label on plastic containers only ensures they won't melt or warp, not that chemicals won't leach into your food when heated. Howard Hughes, who was a chronic insomniac, bought a Las Vegas TV station in 1967 to watch movies during late hours, as there were no all-night TV stations available when he first arrived in the city. The former CEO of Malden Mills used $25 million of his own money to keep all 3,000 employees on payroll with benefits after the mill was destroyed by fire in 1995, ultimately making him lose his CEO position. Chinstrap penguins take over 10,000 micro naps a day, each lasting around 4 seconds, adding up to more than 11 hours of sleep daily. Roger Fisher, a Harvard Law School professor, suggested placing the US nuclear codes inside a person to ensure that the president must take a life to activate the country's nuclear weapons. The codes enabling the US president to order a nuclear attack are stored on a plastic card known as the biscuit, which the president must have on them constantly. The Last of Us accidentally included a real phone number that connected to an adult hotline service. A man stranded in a bush in northern Saskatchewan cut electrical poles to attract the attention of workers and be rescued. That is smart. The only plane permitted to fly on 9/11 after the attacks was a plane flying from San Diego to Miami to deliver anti-venom to a man bitten by a highly poisonous snake, and it was escorted by 2 fighter jets. The Mountain Man spent 22 years using only a hammer and chisel to carve a 110-meter path through a mountain after his wife's death, shortening the journey from 55 kilometers to 15 kilometers. Mozart wrote 800 pieces and died at 35, composing an average of 22 pieces every year of his life. After John Rufo was convicted and sentenced to 17 years in prison, his bail was set at $10 million, causing most of his immediate family to put their houses up as collateral. However, Rufo disappeared, leading to the seizure of the homes of his wife, mother-in-law, and others by the government. Mexico abolished slavery in 1837 and refused the United States' request to return escaped slaves back up north, resulting in 3,000 to 5,000 runaway slaves finding refuge in Mexico. Eric Roberts is one of the most prolific actors of all time because he has 849 acting credits on IMDb since 1978, which is averaging about 18 gigs per year for 46 years. An Italian artist sold an invisible sculpture in 2021 for $13,000 and provided the buyer with a certificate of authenticity to confirm its existence. Over 30% of Vietnamese people share the last name Nguyen, while almost 85% of the population have one of 15 last names. When the Beatles broke up in 1970, all 4 members were still in their late 20s, with John Lennon and Ringo Starr at 29 and Paul McCartney and George Harrison at 27. Almost 3 billion living people have never used birthed the internet. The Hoover Dam contains enough concrete to build a 2-lane road from San Francisco to New York. The founder of Telegram, Pavel Durov, has fathered over 100 children in 12 countries through sperm donation. Mariah Carey threw herself a Mariah Carey themed party. Antarctica and Iceland are the only places on Earth that do not have mosquitoes. Olympians live on average 5 years longer than the general population. The 9/11 rescue dogs were so depressed from finding only bodies that were not alive that rescue workers had to stage fake rescues to boost the dogs' morale. During the Apollo 13 mission, Jack Swigert realized he had forgotten to file his tax return, leading NASA to contact the IRS for a deadline extension as he was considered out of the country. Unescorted women in the early 1900s used hat pins to prevent casual assaults by men, prompting laws in many states to limit the pin's length due to its effectiveness as a weapon. The Harlem Globetrotters lost track of a game, found themselves down by 12 with 2 minutes left, had to play normal basketball, rallied but couldn't actually recover, leaving the crowd dumbfounded and disappointed, with some of the children in the stands crying after the loss. Michelle Kwan, the most decorated figure skater in US history, is also the US ambassador to Belize. A study shows that women's jean pockets are typically half the size of men's in 80 pairs examined from the same brand, with only 40% accommodating an iPhone X comfortably and just 10% fitting a hand, while all men's jeans can fit either. Modern nuclear submarines are so well camouflaged that in 2009, 2 French and British nuclear ballistic missile submarines accidentally collided in the Atlantic Ocean while moving so slowly that they couldn't have detected each other just a few feet apart. There's a school in Washington state where the school bus has to cut through Canada twice a day, every day, to take kids to and from school. Alcohol is not permitted on the International Space Station due to its potential to harm the water filtration system, leading to a ban on mouthwash, aftershave, and perfumes for the same reason. The largest airline food poisoning incident happened on a Japan Airlines flight to Denmark, where 197 people got sick from infected omelets, leading to the recruitment of Japanese-speaking restaurant staff from Copenhagen to serve as medical translators due to a lack of Japanese-Danish translators. Major orange juice producers add chemical fragrances called flavor packs to their juice to maintain their signature taste, since orange juice loses its flavor through pasteurization and deoxygenation. Breath. Oxygen. Arnold Schwarzenegger pays $1 to Warner Brothers every year for his infamous Mr. Freeze costume from Batman and Robin. An economist analyzed data from 30,000 employees to discover that those using Firefox or Chrome tended to stay 15% longer, were 19% less likely to miss work, and had happier customers compared to those using Internet Explorer or Safari. The Magna Carta was the first document to put into writing the principle that the king and his government are not above the law. Marshmallows are a 4,000-year-old food originating in ancient Egypt that were originally made from sap of a mallow plant that grows in marshes. King James I of England spoke out against the dangers of tobacco in 1604, deeming it hazardous to the lungs and brain while trying to impose a high tax on it. American and British generals insisted on all-white French unit liberating Paris, leading to soldiers being shipped in from Morocco, Spain, and Portugal to supplement the French troops. The dead internet theory is an online conspiracy claiming the internet is dominated by bots and automated content controlled by algorithms to manipulate people and reduce genuine human interaction, like us. People can guess if a person is rich based on their face with a 68% accuracy. 16 people survived inside the collapse of the World Trade Center by staying in stairwell B of the North Tower, spread out between floors 22 and 1. At age 19, future President Lyndon Johnson secured a job teaching elementary school to impoverished Mexican-American students in 1928, where he developed various programs including contests in spelling and public speaking within 3 months, as well as coaching sports. Pizza is seen as a luxury food in North Korea, where most of the citizens can't afford it. Kim Jong brought Italian chefs to teach locals how to make pizza when he developed an interest in it in the 1990s. There is a toxic waste plant that has a warning designed to alert people in the distant future of its danger. You will spend 20 years of your life looking at your phone. Interesting.